check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. I don't know what happened. Sorry. My NVIDIA settings got jacked up for some odd reason. Hi, welcome. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Man, it was so good. I don't know why people sleep on Thanksgiving. Like, why does it automatically go from like Halloween to Christmas? Like, Christmas, I love it. You know, I love being around the family. But Thanksgiving, man, it's just something magical about the food that you get to experience. And, you know, sometimes like what's funny is that we actually get to experience like a Thanksgiving kind of feast, like outside of Thanksgiving. I look forward to those, you know, having like mashed potatoes, your corn or your cream corn, you got your turkey, you got your yams, you got your green bean casserole, you got just all these different things. Like, I just love the plethora of food that you get to eat on Thanksgiving. It just feels in itself magical. I love it. Welcome everybody. So I, you know, I saw a video from Phantom X, and you know my boy makes some great content, and I was watching it within like 30 seconds, and I literally just shut the video off, and I was like, okay. I messaged my boy Phantom. I was like, hey dude, can I react to this video? Cause this shit. And it was literally like, I watched it probably like 3 minutes after it was like out. And I knew this was going to be a banger. And sure enough, a whole day later, it's over like 7,000 views, just gangbusters. People love this video. And, you know, I think he's gotten into a really good stride with his content and just being able to talk ashes in a very, direct way. You know, I think he's I'm not gonna say he's unbiased, because I think all of us are a little biased to an extent, but I love how he almost has like this like flanker approach of being able to understand where we are, but then also try to understand where the new players are coming from. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Yo, everybody, how y'all doing? I got some pot pies in the oven I'm making from the leftovers, dude. Oh man, I love it, dude. It's just so good, man. I love the leftovers. My father-in-law smoked a brisket for Thanksgiving. So not only do I have sausage, I got, you know, dark turkey, light turkey, but I also have an amazing smoked brisket that he gave me leftovers with. And it's just him and his wife. And oh my God, even heating up in the microwave was amazing. He does the best smoked brisket I probably know. Tobias, dude, thank you so much for following. Thank you. Hope you're gonna enjoy the stream. It's been really crazy. I've seen honestly a huge uptick in overall YouTube traffic. There's a lot of people currently interested in Ashes of Creation, and there's a lot of content creators that are putting out some really, really good content. Like I said, Phantom, there's Flanker, there's Nice. There's a bunch of them that are just literally popping off. And, you know, there is an interest. People want to know what this game is about. And, you know, on my last live, one of the comments was, and this was from a new player, and basically I'm going to kind of summarize his comment in a sense, but he said, Vlad, all you do is bitch about all the shit that needs to be worked on. But like, coming from a new player, like, what's the exciting stuff I'll be able to do in the game? And I was like, wow, okay, I didn't think about that, you know, because I'm so used to the feedback loop. I'm so used to like talking to people as they've already been playing, because that's how it's been for a while. And, you know, there is going to be a lot, because it's a very, I think $50 is a very approachable sum of money comparatively to double that to play an alpha, right? So give me 1 second. Let me turn off my phone. I apologize. I probably should have done that. Okay. And so I kind of want to do this video, like, you know, once I react to Phantom's video, I kind of want to just go over the kind of like major features that are in Ashes of Creation that I think new players would actually be excited about. And some of the new features, of course, or not new, but some of the features are not finished, of course. So context, right? What you can do inside the game with some of these features doesn't really seem that exciting, but I think if you are one of those people that approaches early access games with the lens of over time the game's going to get better and better and better. I think there are many features in Ashes of Creation that are going to be very unique to this game comparatively to a lot of other MMOs that may have a portion of this feature or semi kind of this feature, right? Let me see, trying to see if it's worth buying on Steam, I expect. Let me see, this is the first Ashes content for me this weekend, using PTR time as a break. All right, man. Well, like I said, I want to watch this video by Phantom because, again, Phantom has been making some amazing content lately, and mostly all of his videos, I tend to agree with when it comes to the feedback of the game. But then when he goes off of his like, is Ashes going to release in beta next year kind of videos, this was all videos that were months ago, mind you, okay, months ago, and I would always be like, oh, Phantom, and now I'm like, Jesus, he was right about everything. It's just so funny, man. Let me see, I think we're always biased when it comes to Ashes, simply because Ashes is always out, is ways out on a finished product, but we have to be real also, since I also reacted to Phantom's video. Yeah, I know for sure. I think it's sometimes, I would say it's a little bit difficult for me to step outside of the looking glass because I've been here for so long. And this is why I love people when they come in and they, put these comments on or whatever. And I read most of them. There's some that I don't because I'm not on my phone on YouTube like all the time, but many of them I do read. I'd probably say maybe the 70 to 90% of them I read. Maybe the offhanded one I lose track of. But he's way more doomer theory than me. But I don't mind that stuff. Well, neither do I. Again, not saying that being doomer is always doom and gloom, but look, people label doomer as in featuring or highlighting negative aspects of a project, and anybody can have negative aspects on a project. I have the biggest negative aspect when it comes to the class design. I'm not a fan of the 64 class system. It could turn out to be an amazing class system, and I hope it turns into an amazing class system, but I have my reservations, of course. And it's just all about, it's all about like how it can evolve, how it can change. And look, the man of the hour right here, our brother Phantom. What up, brother? Let me see. As a new person to the gaming community, the heavy negativity surrounding it has really surprised me for what you are getting and where it looks like it's heading. I have a hard time missing the value and the upcoming value the game offers. Well, so I think the value is very specific to a person. What I would deem valuable to me could seem worthless to someone else. And with any kind of early access / alpha project, there's a lot of things that people can think is super worthless, and depending on how doomer they are in general as a person, or just even on the genre, which the genre right now is very much suffering. Like, let's not glaze over facts, right? There's so many missteps, there's so many things that the executives or the heads of these major companies don't understand about the genre they're making the content for, or just about the genre in general. Thus, these games take so much longer to transform into what players ultimately desire or want. And the reason why I've had a lot of faith, and I still have faith in Intrepid, is because of Steven. Because Steven is an MMO gamer first and became a developer second. And, to many, that is definitely not, a good thing, because they would rather have someone who knows the industry, who knows the development cycle better. And I can't really argue with that, right? And this is why I say the first couple of years were probably just a bunch of, back to the drawing boards, seeing what is actually going to work. I mean, you can have a paper document of what you want in your game, but actually playing certain, vertical slices or certain systems and demos could realize, oh, wow, yeah, now that I actually play it. Because there's many opinions that I feel like I have, and then I go in and do it, and I'm like, oh, wow, my opinion's changed. I remember Gunner in Lost Ark. I saw so many videos on Gunner, and it looked amazing. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing class. I'm going to have so much fun playing this class. I literally play it, and it just wasn't for me. even though I thought and I had so much surety that I was going to have the best time in this class, it turns out it wasn't true. So, let me see. I hope you become the biggest Ashes streamer. Love your content and takes. Thanks, man. Dude, thank you, Karl. Thank you. I was actually talking to my wife, and many of you guys know, maybe many of you guys don't know, but I am a father, and I have 3 kids, and I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I raise my 2 girls. My oldest, she goes to school or whatever, and I was talking to my wife about potentially streaming, and I'm going to put a poll up on my YouTube channel. Perhaps maybe at the end of this weekend or maybe early next week, and just ask my community if they would be willing to watch me for maybe an hour or 2 every day, like every weekday from Monday through Friday. And I might still even have my usual Friday night stream. So I might do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for an hour or 2, 10 a.m. to maybe 12 p.m. My time, noon, depending on when my daughter, because 10 a.m. is when my daughter goes to sleep. And I would like to just try it out. I would like to just try to be more consistent with streaming. But since I'm here by myself, I don't know how that'll work. I truly don't. And I have a lot of shit in my game room, as you can see. And for a 2-year-old, this is definitely a smorgasbord of stuff that she can mess up. So let me see. So you can tell they're worried about the Steam reviews. We've been saying for years that the changes they made recently needed to be done years ago, and they're finally doing it. Well, there's probably a shit ton of stuff that's going to be in this video. So let's stop dilly-dallying and let's literally watch this video. Okay.
Today, we're talking about something that honestly feels bigger than just patch notes. Ashes of Creation's latest PTR updates combined with the Steam announcements are pointing toward a major directional shift in how this MMORPG is being shaped. And while some of these changes are good, even great, the timing raises a lot of questions. Ashes of Creation's production servers have basically been offline, except for occasional periods. All development energy is now pouring straight into the PTR, and that's fine. Honestly, that's what they should have been doing all year.
True.
But the specific changes in these PTR updates are drastically different from what we've seen in the past 12 months. In fact, they look a lot like an effort to lower friction, reduce punishment, speed up onboarding, and make the early game far more accessible in preparation for its debut on Steam Early Access.
You see, when I interviewed Steven and I asked him like how long the leveling was going to take, he said roughly 100 hours from levels 1 through 25. And actually at the time, it was hugely praised. But mind you, this was 3 weeks before the official Alpha 2 launch. Okay. Just giving context. And honestly, I truly don't mind a grindy MMORPG. I played Vanilla WoW. And if you don't think Vanilla WoW is grindy, like, again, I'm not an Eastern MMO player. So people are like, oh, Vlad, well, if you think, Vanilla WoW is grindy, then you should try XMMO, the original Aeon, Arcage, whatever, right? Lineage 2, Lineage 1. Like, that's fine. But my biggest gripe was for that to be the only way, the one way to level your character is to basically go to a POI and grind for hours is honestly very mind-numbing to me. But let me also just be honest too. Going from quest to quest to quest to quest to quest to quest to quest is also super mind-numbing as well. However, it does give you the ultimate break of maybe going to different POIs, gives you travel time, gives you things to find along the way. So it does definitely break up than just being, at Carfin or being in a little portion of Citadel of the Steel Bloom for literally 8 hours plus. So I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of grind. What I like to be a fan of in Ashes is a fan of variety. And that's what I want Ashes to really shine. Because even in Vanilla WoW, you can't really level unless you're just questing. Could you arguably just dungeon grind? True, you probably could. You're going to do this dungeon over and over to get to a certain level point. Then you're going to go to the next dungeon, do the same thing. Okay, that's fine. So we have basically two alternative paths to level in Vanilla WoW. In Ashes, and I think really in any modern MMORPG, you should have multiple different ways to level your adventuring class. And I think Ashes, from phase 1 to phase 2, has done a very poor job of that. And the excuse was, well, this is supposed to be a harken back to old MMO design, to the old MMO grind. But I would say, okay, that's fine. But early MMO design, in my opinion, they were still figuring stuff out. And we as players weren't as smart or as sophisticated as we now are roughly 30 years later. I mean, because the first MMO, I would say 3D kind of MMO was like, what, 1996? So it's definitely like even the developers were sort of learning like, well, how should we develop if we want to go from a level 1 to a level 60 or a level 50? How are we going to have our players do that? How are we going to construct our content to do that? And it's not like they had some other game to kind of go off of. And, even Vanilla WoW, they technically did because they used EverQuest, as their kind of litmus test, because there was a lot of devs that were playing EverQuest that were like, man, this is so dumb about this game. If it only did this game would be amazing. You know what I mean? And so it was just, honestly, like as we went throughout the genre and throughout the years, the genre just improved because we were improving and we were figuring out as a collective what we liked and what we didn't like. And so many MMOs dipped their toes further into certain systems and others chose not to even dip their toes there and go into other types of systems, right? So I can jabber on about, let's just keep watching real fast.
And that's where this gets interesting. Change number 1, faster, cheaper, easier early progression. Ashes increased experience gain by 20%, and now they've gone even further. New PTR additions include reduced XP required to reach level 10. Starting goblins and clay warriors now drop rations, which used to be a gold sink for new players.
True.
Levels 1 through 9 were already quick, and levels 9 through 25 were the grind everyone complained about all year.
It was really shocking to me that they actually upped the experience from 1 to 10. To be quite honest with you, I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought, oh, okay, well, let's actually stretch out levels 1 through 10. But I'm actually cool with the way it is, the way it was. Like it's not too big of a deal, but it was definitely, in my opinion, and I think in Phantom's opinion, was a very fundamental shift to what the mantra used to be. And then it leads to the question, well, what else has been a massive shift in direction? That's going to be, I think, another very interesting question. All right, so let's keep going.
But now, the whole early game floor has been raised. It's faster, cheaper, and significantly less punishing. For a game that marketed itself as old school difficulty, this is a notable shift. Change number 2. Artisanship has been drastically eased. For the entire year, testers have begged for crafting to be less punishing, less tedious, less expensive, less biome limited, and all year, nothing. Then the Steam announcement drops, and suddenly 3 huge changes arrive all at once. Key new crafting changes have included processing stations no longer requiring fuel, crafting,
which that wasn't even the issue. Like I'm as a new player, you may not know this, but fuel was not the issue. It was a minor annoyance for sure. I didn't mind it. I think a lot of players didn't mind it. Am I excited for the change? Yeah. Again, it's a minor annoyance that's now just gone. But the bigger annoyance was the processing fee and also the reagent fee on top of that. They were basically almost identical sometimes, because depending on how much you're going to process, the processing fee can be quite substantial. And then you also need to be equal to that cost. So again, for someone who doesn't know, if you want to process, let's say 60 logs. You have oak logs, you want to process them into oak timber. You would have to basically purchase from a vendor 60 sanding powders. And then you need to go to the processing lumber mill station, put in your 60 logs, put in your 60 sounding powders, and then there'd be an extra cost to actually even hit the processing button, which is your processing fee. It was so much. Like phase 3, the latest phase, saw a pretty big substantial increase from where it was in phase 2. And again, my opinion was that I understand the gold sync, but it shouldn't happen this early, in my opinion. It shouldn't. You can't punish brand new players for trying to either experiment, make mistakes, learn. It's way too punishing, because even processing even 40 to 60 logs, you'll go broke. You'll go from maybe earning 5 or 6 silver in your little play session. I'm talking as a new player who doesn't probably know what they're doing just by getting glint off mobs or whatever, to then, oh, I'm going to do this processing thing. I'm going to get my logs and process. And now all of your gold's just gone, right? Everything's just literally gone. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I got to keep grinding. I got to keep going. Right. And my whole thing was that I wanted it to be easier for them to understand the nature of crafting in Ashes is very complex. It just is. There's a lot of moving parts to it. I'm pretty sure if you're used to, let's say, maybe New World or, Star Wars Galaxies, you may not be as confused. But I think for the average person who plays like maybe Final Fantasy 14, maybe Guild Wars 2, or maybe World of Warcraft, the Ashes professions and how it's going to be done is very lumbering, to say the least.
And reagent prices reduced. Apprentice and journeyman tools can now be crafted using ingredients from any biome. These changes make artisanship drastically less frustrating and drastically cheaper. Again, great changes, absolutely needed. But the timing? Hard to ignore. Change number 3, early game gear progression has fundamentally changed. One of the biggest...
This was a good change too. Like, I don't understand where people are poo-pooing the, oh, I'm getting gear from mobs and I'm also getting gear from quest rewards and stuff like that. Mind you, all of the gear that we're getting is literally common gear. It's the worst gear you could possibly get. Why are we gatekeeping it? And again, I am someone who really values crafting and professions. And I think when it comes to a lot of the common stuff should be for like buy orders, building up nodes, filling in pieces that you may not have got lucky with either your quest rewards or maybe even your drops from mobs. Like, that's what it should be for. But ultimately, if you're going to craft something, you're probably not going to craft a common, right? You're probably going to go at least uncommon at the very earliest. So even then, it's still an upgrade. So I just don't see the people shitting on this change. I think it's a very welcome change and a good change. And, as we progress, I think, once we start going through, we'll find out at the end if it's actually really a good change or if it's kind of detrimental. But we're in alpha. Now is the time to experiment and to find out these changes and how they feel. That's the whole point, at least in my opinion. I don't know if they're releasing it on Steam because they are obviously hitting a funding wall. If negative reviews hinder people from coming and playing, they will suffer from it. Okay, look. When it came to New World, when it came to a lot of early access games, I'm not saying that early reviews don't hurt games. But if you literally go and go back and watch early videos or early things, early Steam reviews of New World when it was still in beta, the reviews weren't exactly glowing, to be honest. And if you were to go and watch YouTube videos prior to New World's release, it was bad. No one was saying this game was amazing. Oh my God, it has all this. Like, no one was really hyping New World. And honestly, when it came, I remember specifically people were shitting on Asmongold because Asmongold said that New World was so bare bones and had nothing. And he basically was the first one to say, well, I don't know if he was the first one, but he was the first one that I think a lot of people remember, was that all this was going to be chest runs, because he did the beta. He had an extensive amount of time. He had over 1,000 hours in the beta alone. And he said, this is going to suck. Many people are going to quit this game because there's nothing to do at endgame. And sure enough, even with all the negativity, even with major content creators, almost over 1 million people still bought New World and still tried it. So in my opinion, I think people overly bombasticize, because again, when it comes to YouTube, negativity just clicks. When you see something and it's something negative, even if it's something you're remotely interested in, you're probably going to click on that video to see their opinion. But if it's someone like, oh my God, this game is amazing and this is this, like, you're probably not going to care, because positivity just doesn't really, unless you're like super in that niche, and unless you're just as positive, like maybe you'll click on that video, of course, or maybe it's from your favorite content creator or whatever. But I think the whole people saying like, because I truly believe the Steam reviews, they're going to be negative on Ashes, 100%. And I've said this before, I will say it again, but I honestly feel that still would have been the case even if everything in Ashes was released. We have secondary augments. We have all of the ability changes. Nodes were all done and designed. Naval was complete. All these different things were out. Ashes would still get negatively review bombed, because Ashes fundamentally isn't for a massive audience. Like that's just the truth. It's the same thing with like Aeon 2. Aeon 2 isn't meant for a massive audience. It's the same, in my opinion, the same, Eastern MMO slop. It's very pretty graphics with 6 different paywalls to play the game. Like, and some people like that. That's fine. But Ashes of Creation, even though it's not going to have 6 different paywalls, it's going to have maybe 6 different degrees of frustration, because you're used to the modern theme park MMO where everything is convenient. You can teleport, do anything instantly. Your play session can be 20 minutes long and you'll be able to accomplish like 10 major things within that 20 minutes. That's just not Ashes. And so I've always believed, no matter where Ashes was going to come in Steam, would have I preferred it to at least go into Steam in the beta of Ashes of Creation? Absolutely. Because even though it would have gotten review bombed, I believe there are still rational people on the internet that only try to listen to their opinion. And yeah, they'll go and watch a video of someone else's. Maybe they'll go watch a video of someone just completely shitting on the game, but they'll still say, I want to try it myself. I want to go in there and I want to do it myself. And then I'll make my own opinion. And I think that would have been, in my opinion, the best ultimate route. But, and then there's this whole other argument too of like, people and this is why I'm actually really glad Blizzard stopped telling numbers, how many people are playing World of Warcraft. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like, in my opinion, if you love WoW, you'll keep playing WoW. If you think WoW is a great game, you see people in game, your guild's doing well, does it ultimately matter to you that there may be only 20,000 people playing? Maybe, maybe not. To me, it doesn't. If I'm in the world, if I'm playing a game and there's literally one server to play on that whole MMO, and I'm playing on that server for multiple hours and I hardly see somebody, the cities are completely barren, and I can't complete the content I need to because I need more people and there just isn't people available, that's probably when I'll quit. Even the game could be amazing. That's probably when I'll quit. But I don't really think there's like one of the big MMOs that are in that kind of state. So what does it matter? To me, again, this is like a DPS chart. It's just EPing. Oh, my MMO has 2 million players and your MMO only has 100,000. You suck. Like, that's kind of like the energy I get from it. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. Like, if you love that MMO, like, there's still people who play Mortal Online too. I don't care for that MMO, but there's people who really love it that play it. Like, it doesn't matter to them that there's only maybe a couple of thousand people that play that game. When New World was down and out, it only had, and this was before the big major update, I remember seeing on Steam charts that New World was still going anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 concurrent players per month. And of course, people are like, oh, but this is not including console and stuff like that. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. If you're enjoying your time, I can go and I'll watch my boy, your boy Willie on Twitch, and I don't even play New World, and I'll watch his stream, and it's a fun stream to watch. He doesn't care about concurrent players. Who gives a shit? Him and his boys are having a good time, and that's ultimately what games are about. Sorry, I just had to go on a rant there. Oh.
And most quietly significant changes in the PTR update is the introduction of early game gear rewards tied directly to quests. Until now, Ashes of Creation has never followed this model. Traditionally, gear in Ashes came from two primary places: monster drops and crafting, with a little bit of questing. That was it.
Yep.
But now, well, Intrepid has temporarily added 11 early game gear choice boxes. And while the boxes themselves are placeholders, what they represent is far more important. Ashes of Creation is testing a brand new gearing philosophy. A philosophy where completing quests from level 1 through 9 progressively awards the player with stronger, guaranteed gear, creating a smooth onboarding curve for new players, eliminating early game nakedness and gear drought, and aligning.
Great change. I think this should go from 1 to 50. I don't think this should just be a 1 through 9, like, oh, you get a couple of boxes to get gear and then now you're on your own. Like, no, keep going. Go give. Again, it's literally white gear. It's common gear. Who cares? It doesn't matter. No one even wants to buy a common piece. Like, we had to, of course, in phase 2 and phase 3, because gear just was rare. But why should common gear be that rare? And this is something, again, Steven has said for a long, long time. If you come from the project as Phantom does, or someone as I'm not as seasoned as Phantom is, but if you've been in Ashes since 2020, you have heard Steven say that completed gear drops was going to be rare. Like, you've heard that. I've heard it. We've all heard it. And the problem, there was so many little problems that kind of cultivated it. Maybe it could have worked. Maybe if certain things were more common in the world, maybe if recipes were dropping more, maybe if processing crafting wasn't so expensive, maybe if certain gatherables were easier to find at a tier 1, maybe it wouldn't have been a big a deal. Like, maybe, for sure. Like, I completely agree. But sometimes, like, and this is something that I've always believed too, as much as I knew Ashes was going to probably be a niche MMO, I didn't want it to be a niche MMO. I wanted it to be like, if this was like a pendulum and this was like the most extreme niche MMO, Ashes, in my opinion, was like right here. And I'm not saying I want to bring Ashes to the center, or I want to bring it all the way to like super duper convenient casual, but we need casuals for this MMO to survive. We do. Steven and Intrepid isn't some multi-billion-dollar company. We need truly like a good solid player base, which I believe Ashes does have, but we do need the casuals to come in and enjoy the game as well. We need it. Intrepid needs it. So I think, in my opinion, the whole gear thing of questing, and I hope questing goes a long way further than just 1 through 10, because even 11 through 20, the questing there sucks. And I think they need to keep going. They need to keep adding quests. They need to keep doing those things because players kind of expect it. I'm sorry. I don't know where you're going to go in a game or in 2025 and play an MMO where questing literally is so fragmented and so sparse. A common player is just going to quit. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. They're going to quit. And I don't know if Ashes could survive with the grind mentality that they once had. So I think this is a great change.
Much more closely with modern MMORPG conventions. This is a major departure from Ashes' original design ethos. These gear boxes are not the feature. They are the prototype. They are Intrepid's way of testing a system where new players follow a curated quest path and reliably earn stronger gear as they go.
Let me see. Give better whites to equip while working on better gear. Well, my opinion, like, I don't mind as long as the white gear coming from quests, you know, if we could potentially have common gear that's crafted be better stat wise, like I wouldn't mind. But I also wouldn't mind unique gear that can't be crafted that you can only find on quests. And those quest drops aren't exactly like the best. They're meant to get you going, right? They're meant to fill in certain slots, do certain things. And I think ultimately it's going to be based off of feedback, because guess what? Everything they're currently doing now has literally been brought forth because of feedback. And, you know, I heard someone in chat talk about the Destinies. Great change, or not even a change, just great intro system. I love it. I think they need to keep evolving it. I think they need to keep listening to, there's been so much feedback that I've heard and I've seen on Reddit, on the Discord, that I'm like, that would be a great Destiny. That would be a great point to add for crafting. That would be a great thing to add for this thing. There's so many great suggestions that I've seen, and I hope Intrepid, you know, goes through all of them and puts them in, because I would want the Destinies to be the achievement system for Ashes. If the Destiny system could actually be something that you can go through from levels 1 through 50, hell yes. That would be awesome. That'd be so good. Let me see. Agreed. They shouldn't be better than crafted gear, but still create a sense of progression. Exactly. That's all I want. And I think that's even what crafters want. What they don't want as a crafter is for you to get a quest reward that supersedes its common counterpart as a crafted item. And I could agree with that. And that's why I've always told Intrepid, and people have always said, oh, just bring back like gray. I don't think you need particularly a different rarity. I think we have already too many rarities. But all I think you just need to have because in Ashes of Creation, there's like in ARPGs, there's stat rolls, right? Certain gear, the same piece of gear can have 20 strength, or you could roll a 23 strength, right? And on the same piece of gear. So even if it's like an equivalent crafted, just have it be always like all the quest gear is the lowest rolled stat, right? So you can actually create a common and have it be better stat allocated, right? Like I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't. I think it'd be great. Vanguard had rated drops for crafters to make the best gear originally. Vanguard. Am I missing something? Is that another game? Sorry, I feel like I'm coming in on the middle of conversation. You can even experiment with other weapons from 1 to 10 because quest box weapons are that much better. Well, that's what I mean, right? I think, and again, some people in the alpha get really hung up on numbers. Numbers are all flux. It's all in flux, dude. Like, and again, leave feedback. Like if you think, hey, this is way too powerful, this is way too much. But again, you have to understand, this is probably one of the most irregular alphas I think most casual players will experience, because we are literally today and forward and before have been constantly leaving feedback on their Ashes of Creation forums, on their Ashes of Creation Reddit, and the Ashes of Creation Discord. And Intrepid listens. They go through that because it's apparent there were certain features that were completely changed based on feedback. There's certain numbers they're continuing to tweak based on feedback. And until we can maybe come to a consensus as to like, wow, this feels really, really good, then they'll be like, all right, we're going to leave it there. We're going to keep adding other systems. But the thing with Ashes, though, is that even adding other systems could actually affect previous number tweaks, right? Remember when enchanting became a thing, right? So it basically really made the matter of TTK way worse than better. And then there's going to be, of course, tempering. There's also going to be jewel crafting and jewel slotting or socketing in gear. There's going to be gear ascension. So yeah, numbers are going to be tweaked, man. Like I'm not really too focused on like, oh my God, this particular thing is like so high in value. And it's just like, because values to me are just, it's all voodoo economics. It's going to be in flux.
Instead of relying on RNG drops or expensive crafted gear in the earliest levels. And again, players ask for something like this all year. The timing appearing right after the Steam announcement raises questions. Is this a permanent shift? Will Ashes now feature structured gear progression through quests?
Yes, because I said so, for sure.
Or is this a temporary boost to make the early game feel better for Steam? Either way, the significance is clear. Ashes of Creation is no longer just a kill mobs or craft gear game in the early levels. It's
Which is good. Which is, I'm sorry, the point's almost going to be done.
now introducing quest-driven vertical progression. And that's a huge philosophical change.
Yes, it is. And I think it's a great change. Again, you know, Steven can be stubborn. You know, I'm stubborn. And, you know, this is his baby, right? And he had a vision very early on. And, you know, it takes a big man to admit when they're wrong, right? And again, there are certain things that maybe the team and him thought these are going to be really great. We're going to stick to these things. And by, you know, unanimous feedback, got changed. And I think it's good. It's good when companies listen to their base. This is the people you're literally servicing. These are the people very much interested in your project. And if these people want to play this game and play it for the next 5, 10, even 15 years, you might want to listen to them. Because if not, you're probably going to lose a potential customer, because Ashes is a product at the end of the day. And, you know, even Steven being the businessman he is, and knowing he is building, you know, it's a very abnormal MMORPG to build in 2025. Like, let's just be honest. But this MMO wasn't meant to be built in 2025. It wasn't even meant to be built in 2027. You know, if you go back to the earlier videos in 2017, when optimistic Steven was talking in the live streams, he and the team thought they could pump out this MMO by 2020. So clearly, you know, again, you know, a little bit of naivete there, a little bit of, you know, going back to the drawing board, also a huge bit of just not having the amount of developers he thought he needed to complete a massive project like this. Now realizing, you know, this isn't some multi-billion-dollar company that on day one had already 300 developers working on this project. That wasn't the case. They started with maybe 17 and worked their way up to 100 developers by, what was it, 2021? Like something like that. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, I understand that, you know, when you look at the whole investigation process, maybe that some casuals do, all they see is like, oh, this project's been in development for 8 years. 8 years, you know what I mean? Like, that's what people say. But it's not realizing how they started and what they started. It just, you can't compare that to like Blizzard building, you know, World of Warcraft. You can't compare that to, you know, people that made ESO, the people that made Final Fantasy 14. Like, all of these companies were huge, like multi-million, some of them billion-dollar companies, you know, and I'm talking at the time they started. Now a lot of them are billion-dollar companies, but at the time, you know, some of them were still just multi-million-dollar companies. And so it's a lot that, you know, that Steven, you know, he probably bit off more than what he can chew early on. But now I'm thinking, you know, now that we're in 2025, you see the landscape of MMOs. I'm really happy, as someone who's been here since 2020, these new changes. And I hope more of them come out too.
Number 4, gear drops and gear power now matter more than ever. We've already seen increased gear drops from monsters. We've seen item power contributing more to character strength. And we've seen faster leveling into new gear brackets. But now, combined with the early gear boxes, the direction is clear. Ashes is becoming more gear-driven, more like New World, less like a traditional your build plus your decisions matter MMO. Is that good or bad? Well, it depends on who you ask. Change number 5. PvP protection expanded even further.
Ooh.
Originally, PvP protection existed from levels 1 through 5 in starting areas.
Yes.
This was added after Asmongold jumped in and got repeatedly killed at level 1. Now, PvP opt-out applies from levels 1 through 10, and it applies everywhere across the world. The only exceptions are carrying crates and certain flagged activities. This is one of the biggest philosophical departures we've seen. Ashes of Creation has always leaned on corruption as the great balancing mechanic, the thing.
I don't know. I truly don't know if I have an opinion on this PvP protection yet. Let me see. Are the servers up right now? Yes, but not the Steam servers. So the Steam launch is still December 11th. But can you play Ashes of Creation right now on Alpha 2 live? Yes. The live servers are currently up right now. They will bring them down, I think, Tuesday. And on Tuesday, they'll bring up the PTR servers, if I'm not mistaken. Open world PvP is just always 100% bad. I wouldn't say that. In Ashes of Creation, I think it's actually pretty reasonable in a sense, because in Ashes of Creation, there's going to be a lot of different world events. And there's also going to be pockets where once you go into this certain part of this zone, you'll automatically be flagged for PvP. But if you don't go to those events, if you don't go in those little pockets, then you can pretty much stay in a PvE environment. You have to understand, like, Ashes is a game about risk. So that in itself, like I was saying earlier, even if all of the systems were out, I think Ashes would still be a mixed game, because not many people, or I would say many people, draw the line at open world PvP. But the thing is that there is systems, if you investigate this further, which we will do after the video, that players have certain kinds of protections. And the biggest thing, if you come from World of Warcraft like I did, where you constantly got griefed by a feral druid or a rogue ganking you over and over and over again, they won't be able to do that to you in Ashes of Creation because of corruption. And I'll explain corruption, I'll explain blight, I'll explain the whole flagging system, but I don't think the design of Ashes is inherently bad. I think it needs some tweaks. I think it needs some adjustments. But I think if I were to explain this, I think to a new person, could they be convinced? Maybe. Just depends.
That protects PvE players from griefers. But with this change, you have to wonder, is corruption staying as is? Will they loosen it? Are we moving toward PvE safe versus PvP zones like Arcage? Or is this just temporary training wheels for Steam? Again, these are real design questions now. Here's what stands out the most. For an entire year of testing, players asked for lower crafting costs, less punishing artisanship, improved gear drops, faster early leveling, clarity on recipes, more accessible gameplay, less PvP frustration. And Intrepid said, not yet, not now, not the priority. But the moment Steam is announced, suddenly we get faster leveling, easier crafting, no more fuel, cheaper reagents, early game gear injection, increased drop rates, easier PvP-free leveling, smoother onboarding across the board. These are the exact changes people begged for all year, but only appear after Steam enters the conversation. So naturally, people are asking, are these permanent? Or are they temporary changes to make the Steam launch?
You see, it might be a repeated question, but if I already had access and key, do I automatically get to use Steam Launcher? So from what Steven said last week, they are going to make an announcement this coming week, on the transition to Steam. So Steven did say, I don't know if it was in Discord or on Twitch, in maybe one of the streams, that everyone will play Ashes through Steam, is what he said. So I know that doesn't really give more clarification, or, oh, well, can I use the Intrepid launcher? Do I have to use the Steam launcher? All I know is that they are going to make a pretty big, blog post explaining this new transition. And I know there was the other question of, wait a minute, if I have to play through Steam, does that mean I have to purchase the Ashes of Creation again? No, you don't have to purchase Ashes of Creation. If you already have Ashes of Creation purchased, it's already, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about that. Updates are through Steam. You can still use Intrepid Launcher though. Okay. Like I said, I wasn't sure. That's why I'm just telling people they are going to make an update. They are going to explain this in further detail this coming week. Oh, that's good. We can finally use Steam charts. Yes. And that's where I think the true integration is, because you can still use this. You can still use the Intrepid launcher, but you'll still count as a Steam user, because the game will still be used through Steam. Like, every person has to have their Intrepid account now linked to Steam. So if you log into Ashes, it'll still count as a +1. You say, I've never played, I'm confused. Is the game coming out, or will there be more character wipes? There will be more character wipes. We're still technically in alpha. As much as there isn't an alpha tag in Steam, there is just early access. So this is why early access gets thrown around as to like, oh, early access meant for beta, meant for this. That's why I really wish Steam actually had proper tags for games, because this technically, like, yes, you can consider it early access because you are getting early, access to Ashes of Creation, but they are in current alpha form, right? So if you've never tested an alpha, been in an alpha, it's, there could be very janky experiences. There's a lot of incomplete stuff in the world. There's a lot of systems, even still in Ashes of Creation, that are placeholder that will evolve into a 1.0 version of the system that is now upgraded, just better overall than the placeholder system that was once supporting it. So yes, Ashes of Creation is still being evolved, and it will currently be evolving into 2026. We did hear Steven on Twitter say that they are pushing for a beta release in 2026. Does that mean they'll hit it? Maybe, maybe not. And this is also just further context. There was supposed to be a big economic push, a patch that people were waiting for. That was announced in March. That was supposed to come out in May. That didn't come out in May. It didn't come out in June. It didn't even come out in July. It came out in August. So just giving you guys context to people that haven't been here, that haven't been following the project month to month like I have for the past 5 years. Things can change. Games get delayed. Things happen, right? It just so you know, right? It's how every game under the sun operates. The developers and the company could wish for certain things to happen at certain times. Does that mean that'll happen? No, of course not.
Go down smoother. Are we watching Ashes shift toward a New World style MMORPG? Or is this just a short-term accessibility push? And honestly, that's a fair question. Here's where I stand. I think these changes are genuinely good for the game. New players will have a better experience.
Yep.
The early game is getting smoother. Crafting is more reasonable. The economy is, well, perhaps a little better. The starting zone is more understandable. There's direction, clarity, and forward momentum. But I'd be lying.
It's month to month is an understatement. It's day to day. When you live the life of a content creator, Wagsy, you are for me, it's almost hour to hour. It's just, I'm constantly getting messages on Discord. Vlad, did you see what Steven said? Oh, did you see this little screen snippet of blah, 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 blah? Like, bro, I get almost minute to minute Ashes news, like, as a content creator. It's wild. Let me see. Will we have access to Summoner and our secondary specs yet? Yes to Summoner. Summoner will, unless they delay it, but I'm pretty sure we will have access to Summoner class on the 11th of December. Secondary archetypes are not in yet. They have not been in since the start of Alpha 2. I did hear Steven say that they are trying to maybe push that out Q1 of 2026, but that will only be the tank and cleric augments. So if you know this, maybe you do, maybe you don't, every archetype has 4 schools of augmentation, and you'll be able to have your base class of all your abilities, and then you choose your secondary class that you can augment one of those 4 schools of your base abilities. Sorry if that may have caused confusion. So Steven did say we might have tank and cleric available, hopefully to test in Q1, but we might only have maybe 2 schools of augmentation. Maybe. I take it all with a grain of salt. I take it all just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. We'll see how it goes. Damn, I thought we were supposed to get Summoner months ago. No? There was never, we had a preview, or like, not a preview, I would say, but we had it teased that we were going to get it on PTR, which we inevitably did, I think in September, if I'm not mistaken, late September. Or no, it was supposed to be late September. Then it was like the first week of October, I think. So yeah, something like that. But no, it was again, summoner classes, any kind of pet classes take a long time in the can. The AI and, you know, stuff with the pet AI is always janky. They need to like flesh that out. It's going to even be a process even after that. Blizzard's been having hunters for 20 plus years, and the pet AI sometimes is still jank. So it's an ongoing process. Why does Steven want to have beta so soon? Probably for numerous reasons. If I would say the biggest one, it's because they are a startup company that needs to put out a product to start earning back their money. And as much as I want them to keep, you know, iterating and to keep going, there are probably certain big features that are going to get pushed out to later patches after launch, or even expansions after launch, to actually hit a beta of next year. Because I can guarantee you, if you look at the current outline of all the systems that are in Ashes of Creation and all the things they need to do, beta of next year is completely unrealistic, like at all. Even 3 years would be unrealistic. So again, Ashes of Creation is a massive MMORPG. It's massive. Like, for all the features, all the things it needs to have, it is a massive, massive undertaking. And also too, again, they don't have, you know, $30 million, you know, or $60 million, whatever the annual costs of salaries and the sustainment of Intrepid Studios in, you know, San Diego, California, to just keep going like years on years, you know? So it's definitely one of those things where they probably need to pump this out, because there are some projects that never end up having a live release because they just run out of funds. Like, that's it. The game just goes nowhere. So there was another question. We were supposed to have Summoner in phase 3. True. Summoner was supposed to be in phase 3, but just because you saw it on the docket for phase 3, and Margaret and Steve have been very clear about this, just because it's on there doesn't mean on day 1 of phase 3 all these things are going to be available, right? So I don't even count what we're in as phase 3. I call it like 2.75 at this point. To me, phase 3 truly launches December 11th, because I don't know, this whole transition phase, it was necessary. I used to think it wasn't necessary, but I think it actually was necessary to actually see these further changes, for sure.
If I said the timing doesn't raise eyebrows, why did it take a whole year of testers begging for this? Why now? Right as millions of Steam players are about to see Ashes for the first time. Is Intrepid adjusting their vision? Or are these temporary sugar-coated systems designed to spark interest, then quietly rolled back later? We don't know. But the sudden alignment with a more modern, more accessible, more New World-ish experience is hard to ignore. Ashes of Creation is clearly being reshaped, at least for now, into a more accessible MMORPG experience aimed at a much wider audience. And honestly, for long-term survival, that might be the smartest move they've made. But whether these changes represent the new permanent direction for Ashes, or just a Steam era onboarding phase, that's what we're going to find out in the coming months. Let me know what you think. Is this good, bad, necessary, dangerous? Drop a comment. And if you enjoy deep dives into MMORPG design and Ashes of Creation's development, hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Complete banger video. If you want to go, if you don't know who Phantom X is, he is he has a podcast called Theory Forge Podcast. And he and legendary Neurotoxin and Diggs talk about Ashes of Creation all the time. He has, of course, he does solo content on the channel, you know, just like this, kind of explaining Ashes, giving his takes on things. Great content creator. And, you know, go to the video, give him a like, give him a sub. He creates really great content. Yeah, great video, Phantom. Seriously. A lot of things, man. A lot of things. I think ultimately phase 3 is going to be interesting. And I think also getting the perspective of new players going in and, you know, seeing how this works, like how this meshes, how this flows. I think it's going to be really eye opening for Intrepid, because for me, again, player concurrency. I know there was some content. I think it was nice asking, you know, in his YouTube communities, like about concurrency and stuff like that. To me, concurrency doesn't even matter. Do you know how many players? You can go back and look on Steam charts. Do you know how many players were playing Baldur's Gate 3 in its early access? It was like 2,000 to 4,000 players. Like seriously, like let me look it up. I'll show you right now. And this is why people put way too much credence and stock into a system that really doesn't mean shit. Do I not know how to spell? Yeah, apparently I am the worst fucking speller in the world. I can't read. I can't spell. Like, what the hell? Yeah, but look at this. So when it launched, so just to give you up, this is the average players, right? So player concurrency per month, and this is peak players. So it was an early access for 3 years. Look at this. So 16,000 people tried Baldur's Gate 3 on the first month of its early access, and then look how far it dipped. And then look at the maintenance: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, even though I would consider Baldur's Gate 3, you know, early access, it really wasn't, in my opinion. It was very much alpha. It was like very much alpha. There was only one act you can do. There was, especially at the very beginning. Well, actually, the whole 3 years, you can only do act 1. And then there was limited classes you can select. And there was also storylines that weren't all fleshed out yet. And it was, you know, it was good, but people actually gave it, you know, because from where they came from, Larian, right? I mean, they made Divinity 2. They made really amazing games. But, you know, and again, if I were to even go to New World, I think New World is separate from its beta. So there's New World Eternum, but I believe that's not going to have the beta numbers. Standard edition. Did they remove it? Because I remember seeing that they had a deluxe edition for beta, right? It would say that. But I don't think it's on here anymore. Huh. So if I go here and I go all the way down, that's when it launched, right? November of 20 or October of 2021. That's when it launched. I'm talking before this number. I don't know. Maybe it's not here anymore. New World Public Test Realms. Okay, let me try that. New World Public Test Realms. I guess they took it off. I remember this being like, it was like 20,000 players, like monthly, which I thought was like, oh, okay, you know, like testing back then. But again, it's not even indicative. Like, I remember, again, being someone who was watching New World unfold as the beta was rolling out, and then the year push, hey, we're going to push our beta into next year, and then they pushed it even after that, like an extra 3 months, because it was originally supposed to come out in July, and then they ended up pushing it out into November or October. And, you know, there was just so many things that wasn't going well for New World. And I remember like the zombie AI, the mob tech was just, it was so over the place. I remember testing it myself. I played it for the under 2 hours on Steam, but I refunded it because it just wasn't for me. Like, I knew automatically once I started playing, I was like, oh, this MMO just isn't for me. Let me see. Yeah, but that's a bit different. Being in the game space, look at New World, which is a game that I would compare as the same idea of AOC, and that game is sundowning. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the thing is that I guess I don't like the argument, I would say, on, oh, player concurrency is the end all be all for like at the start of early access and what the game's going to launch to, because that really wasn't even indicative to New World, and New World didn't really have positive press going out like at all. Like, I remember again watching so many videos of like Kira, Peon, Asmin, Summit, Tim the Tapman, just all these people covering New World and talking about New World. Josh Drive Hayes, none of them were covering New World in a positive light during the beta. None of them. Like, literally none of them. And yet it still launched to a million players. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what did player concurrency have to do with anything in its beta? In my opinion, nothing. People are still going to be curious. People are still going to want to play a game, to see what it's all about. And I would say the main issue for a lot of these games is the lack of end game content. That is the nail on the coffin for any MMORPG. Because if you don't have good and engaging content loops at the start of your MMO, you're going to have massive fall off. Massive. And especially what's a little bit concerning for Ashes of Creation is that Ashes of Creation isn't going to have a box cost. It just has a monthly subscription fee of $15, unless that gets changed. But you're not going to, if you want to play Ashes, you want to wait all the way till launch, you just pay $15 once. If you don't like the game, just don't subscribe again, and if you actually purchase a Steam key, you actually will get 1 month of game time free with the purchase. So you'll be able to try it then, see if the game's for you, see if you like it, and go about your day. But I would say that there were so many people when New World launched, hitting max level within just a couple of days, and then came to find out, like, okay, how do I earn gear? How do I get things? How do I get stuff done? And people just being very disappointed with the loop that you basically go on in New World. You see, that is 100% correct. You need endgame. As soon as game launches, people will know life the game and reach endgame within the first week. So Intrepid needs to have a solid endgame because those reviews will be posted within the first 2 weeks. 100%. Some people post review day one. Again, there's going to be malicious people out there that are going to review a game with like, no context to the game, right? But I would say even if someone who leaves a review in 2 hours, like, I only played this game for 2 hours, this is my 2-hour review of this game, because I still think that's kind of valuable if they review it correctly. Like, if they try to say like these large, like, swathing, oh, the whole game is this, the whole game is that kind of thing. Like, if you talk about just your experience, I think those kind of reviews are actually really, really, really good. And I've seen a lot of reviews that have maybe just 10 hours, 15 hours, right? And they never made it to end game. They never even made it to max level. But they stopped because of certain things. And I think it's really important to know, like, gamers' perspective. I think that's why many people watch YouTubers. This is why I watch them. I'm pretty sure that's maybe why you watch me, because you want my opinion, my critique on the project. Us as people want to know, it's kind of like, it goes back to like a survival instinct. If someone starts drinking the water in the river and starts vomiting, I probably don't want to drink the water, right? But if I see you drink the water and you're doing well, you're not getting dehydrated, then hey, maybe I'll drink the water too, right? I think that's how we all are as a species. The end game of New World was non-existent. The dynamic aspect in the world and Ashes is what's intended to differentiate it 100%. But I would also argue that there are certain things, and I actually want to bring up Ashes. I want to start showing some new people the vision, show them like what is Ashes of Creation, what is going to be the thing that you're going to get yourself into. Because I think the settlement system, aka the node system, is probably going to be one of the best features if they can actually nail its paper design. And let me see. Why did I get logged out? I have no idea why the game hates me. My authenticator. I apologize, guys. Oh, I guess I don't need my authenticator. All right. Let's go into mediocre phase 2.75 Ashes of Creation. All right. Let's go here. Now, whether it works or not is a huge risk. Last question. No, for sure. And this is why I want to talk about it, because there are certain things that kind of need to happen in Ashes. And it's very much bordering on a lot, like not a lot, but certain issues in the nodes or settlements ZOI. So I'm going to kind of give people a little bit of a crash course in Ashes of Creation. But honestly, before I do, I should have mentioned this real fast. And if you are a brand new player, please, I will put this link in here. This is the Ashes of Creation wiki. This wiki has been going on since literally 2018, 2017. The person that's in charge of this wiki literally updates it, and his team update it monthly, daily, weekly. This thing is the most up-to-date thing you can find about Ashes of Creation. Anything you want to know about Ashes of Creation is in this wiki. I will put it here. If you are interested in Ashes of Creation and want this to be bookmarked, I would definitely do so. I'd highly, highly recommend it. And this is literally, if you look here, I don't know if you can see how small the scroll wheel is, but the settlement system, aka the node system, is a huge, huge, huge system. There is literally so much about this system. It's bonkers. It's a lot. Okay. So that being said, let's go in here, go to Shoal. God, I haven't logged into my characters in so long. I don't even know where I left them. We'll see. Let me see. Oh, here's my ranger. Let's log into Vladus, as my boy Rory always says. And let me say the Grissom claims to be a theme box. The community just currently labels it as sandbox because it's lacking too much structured content at the moment. Yes, I definitely agree with that. It's supposed to be a theme box, sand park, whatever you want to label it. But the theme park element, the kind of on rails leading you, like holding your hand throughout the process kind of thing, just isn't really present yet. So it's really more of a sandbox as it currently sits, but there definitely will be sand park elements. Okay. So just looking here real fast and zoom out real fast. Oh my God, this looks so much better on the beta, but this is the map. All again, work in progress, right? But if you see here, you see this like red line that kind of like divides itself kind of thing. So, and this is why I wish like PTR was here, because if you hover over it, it should actually highlight. But there's each section, right? So this here is a settlement. This is the Jova settlement. Down here is the, oh, there it goes. It lights up now. Why is it not doing that? Do I have to actually? Oh, okay. There it is. So this settlement here, which I know it's going to highlight all of this, but just this section here where my mouse is going is the Jova settlement ZOI, which is called Zone of Influence. And when you start Ashes of Creation, if you start in the Riverlands, you're going to start here in the Cathedral. Okay. Now, the points of Ashes of Creation and the cool factor that was always pitched, if you go watch the Lazy Peon video back in 2020, was that you, the adventurer, have the choice into what settlements get leveled up? Well, how do settlements get leveled? By you being within the ZOI of a settlement. So if you see this white ZOI, this is kind of a neutral zone of influence. This doesn't attribute to any node XP or anything like that. So you have to go outside of this zone of influence, this neutral zone of influence, into some other zone. So if you go here, which is Korolok, this is a very popular entry level grind zone. You'll find a lot of goblins here to kill and do stuff with. So, and then any gatherable that's also here will contribute to the node or the settlement's ZOI. The problem is that the settlements and their ZOIs are unbalanced in the sense of the grindable POIs. The two most popular settlements that get leveled in Riverlands is the Winstead settlement and the Jova settlement. And Winstead gets leveled first because really there's a lot of very early leveling grind spots that are insanely popular because of fast leveling, because of gear drops, numerous of things. You'll have Korolok being one of them for Winstead, the bigger one being Highwayman Hills. And these particular grind spots are insanely popular. And there also is Nickabrae Ruins. These are arguably the kind of chain you'd want to go in, is to basically grind here to Korolok. Once you hit probably like level 6, 7, 8, then you probably want to grind here Nickabrae Ruins. Then when you're probably like levels like 10 to 12, you probably want to start grinding Highwayman Hills. Once you reach like maybe level 15, then you literally go into Citadel of the Steel Bloom. You can literally do all of this within this one settlement. But what does Nuela have, which is one of the other settlements? All you have is Remnants of Cephalion, and you can't do Remnants until you're probably level 12 through 15. And once you pass that level bracket and you go maybe say level 20, there's literally no reason to ever go back into Nuela again. So you see what I'm trying to say here? There isn't equals amount of content within the Riverlands. So you really, as a player, don't feel like you're shaping the world. All you feel like you're doing is doing what any gamer would do, is start killing mobs that are equal to your level, right? So it's, again, it's not perfect, but I would hope the goal is to provide certain starting experiences within each ZOI, because then it's going to become a rat race into, well, hey, we love Winstead, or hey, we love, Miraleth, or we love Nuela. So when we spawn like into the world from here, we're probably going to skip this whole thing here and go straight to Nuela, because let's say over here, I'm just going to make this shit up right now, but let's say over here is a grind spot, that you can level from, levels 1 through 5. And then over here, you're going to levels like from 5 to 8. And then from like over here, you're going to levels from like, 10 through 12. Then let's say right here in the center, you're going to level from, 12 to 17. That would provide a really good balance in this ZOI comparatively to Winstead. But it just basically leaves you almost like in a very railroadish kind of way of how you just level. Like, I'm just being serious. Like, and yes, there are certain things you can do. Like this one, of course, you can go here for Cephalion, or you can go here for Citadel of Steel Bloom, which is probably around equal level. Or you can go to, what is it? Like, I don't know if Grave Peak is another one that you could potentially go to. That's almost like same level equivalent. But there's so much real estate in these ZOIs that you could definitely put, mobs and POIs to grind from like potentially levels 1 through, 15, or even levels 1 through 20. And then from 20 to 25, those particular dungeons is going to be the big ones. Those are going to be Tower of Carfin that you can do, or you can go all the way to the Befallen Forge. And these you can level from 20 to 25. And again, the whole goal is that the beauty of the node system or the settlement system is that depending on what settlement that you choose to level will unlock certain things. Like maybe, of course, here in in Jova, by leveling this node will now open up this particular dungeon. By opening up this particular node could provide, a special world boss here, right? That was the kind of pitch that we got like super early on when it came to the node system / the settlement system, was that every node was going to shape the content in the world and offer you different things. And so you may want to level this node to max because at max, it's going to provide these special things, but your server may not have went max on that particular settlement. Maybe they went max on a different settlement. So now you're going to have a special dungeon on one server that isn't available on another because they chose a different route. But my fear is that if this particular design stays in place, every server is basically going to be identical. Like maybe you'll have one that Jova actually ended up beating out Winstead, but I can guarantee you on each individual server, it's always going to be a battle between Winstead and Jova. There's never going to be a battle of like New Ayla and Marilith for competing for the top, like the first village stage node. That's just not going to happen. And so my whole thing was that I want each ZOI to have like almost equal footing in the sense of leveling progression, because the other problem too is that, and we've tested this, bro, did we test this from phase 1 to phase 2? Everybody is literally in Winstead, usually at Coralock, at Nickabrae, Highwayman Hills, Gem Spring. We're all freaking here. And the other issue is server workers and how server workers work. They work in these like square grids. And Highwayman Hills was a very popular dungeon because of its gear drops. So imagine having hundreds of people here because there wasn't another adequate POI grind spot. That was the issue. And I really hope that they can add more similar types of grindable POIs, because it'll then spread the load everywhere else, right? That you can still go to a node as or still go to a POI spot like Highwayman Hills, and it's still gonna be competitive. There's so many people there, but you have at least like, hey, okay, guys, we can either choose to go to Highwayman Hills, we can choose to go to, just make up names here, Briar Farm, or that's probably an actual name, Briar Farmstead to grind there, or we can go to Brookshield Creek to grind there, or we can go to, like, that's what I mean, right? There should be like multiple things to do, other spots to go, and just not even at the 10 to 15, like from levels 1 through 5 through this, like, because you want to be able to have people go everywhere, disperse everywhere across the world, not just in very specific spots. The other problem too is that there's certain POI grind spots that don't even open until a certain node goes past Wilderness. So there's 5 stages of settlements / nodes. I'm sorry, I keep saying both words, but it's just hard. Wilderness is going to be the first one because when you spawn into the world on a fresh server, nothing's leveled. All the settlements are just kind of like Oasis, basically, just empty farmland. And then the first one is going to be Crossroads. And there's certain things that start happening at Crossroads. The little NPCs start pop up. You get like a mailbox there. You open up your storage there, but it's still relatively barren. And then once you level that up, it goes to Encampment. And that's when stuff starts opening up. Like that's when like little POIs like start opening, gates start being open. It's, it becomes dynamic. It becomes like a truly dynamic living, breathing world. But I feel like the living, breathing needs to be more so than just on life support. That's what I feel the current ZOI design of grindable POIs feels like. It feels very much like a life support. Like you have very limited options into how you level. And because optimization is very much the thing that people are going to do on YouTube videos, go read about on, websites or whatever, it's going to be very mapped out how you're going to do certain things. Now, will that still happen even with what I'm pitching? Absolutely. But my point is that you will at least still have options. And for what it feels like right now, you kind of don't. And that's the big issue. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm ignoring chat. And I even have chat box open. I'm so sorry. Maybe Twerk, dude. Thank you so much for the follow, brother. Thank you. And Desert 2, yes, Pocket Dungeons only unlock on certain levels of nodes in Desert. Yes, and that's what I mean, right? So, and that's the other issue too, right? So the major thing that we found out recently is that starting zones, so Riverlands, this whole area here is a starting zone. Every starting zone will only have content from levels 1 to 25. And then any non-starting zone, which will be the desert, which will be the June Dark, which will be the tropics. Sorry, just keep freaking clicking. The tropics. And there's also 2 other nodes or settlements that are not completed yet. It'll be the Redwood area that'll be located right here, and then the Badlands that'll be located right here. And those will also be levels 25 to 50, which I don't even know how that's going to work. I mean, I think there's a lot of fundamental shifts happening here, but I think ultimately it's going to be an interesting thing to test. And this is why I'm very much wanting for them to not really work on the other continent yet. We need to really flesh out this one. So we need to, and I don't know what the best case scenario is. Like if I was in charge, I would say to literally hold off on the Redwood area and on the Badlands. Hold off on those and already start doing Riverlands 2.0. Start at Enville's 2.0. And then once you get the starting, I think you need to start on the starting areas first and get them as fleshed out as possible. And then work on the desert, the tropics, the June Dark. Because then once we can get those into a good flux, once we hit levels 25, now we're going to start going out to those other, into those other zones and start leveling them, right? And start doing stuff there and participating there. So it's like, then we can actually start treating them as end game kind of content. And then we can also test out how leveling feels of these settlements. Or is it faster? Like, is it slower? Like, how is that? Because again, it's just going to be fundamentally different than the leveling experience, right? So, do you always wear a rug draped for content on them? So I have this room. It's 68 degrees in here, and I love it. But I get a little chilly sometimes. But honestly, this particular one here was a gift from my wife, and I absolutely love Batman. I've loved Batman since my childhood years, and she found this. And I love it. And so, it's my favorite blanket. So Batman, Michael Keaton is like one of my legends. I love the dude. I told my wife one day, I really would love to buy the actual Michael Keaton suit. And if I do buy that suit, it's going to go right there in the corner. I'm going to have it as a prop, just looking badass there. And yeah. Just a little trivia for you guys. It's great if they want to make the new player experience more theme park and less sandbox. However, they need to improve quest markers, map UI, performance, and add more starter portals. Absolutely. So my biggest thing here is these stupid quest markers. So in Ashes of Creation, if you're brand new, this is a quest marker in Ashes. It's an open book. Personally, I don't like it. I think there's better quest markers they could go with. And let me see. Hold on real fast because I believe I don't know if I actually have. Thought I did. Maybe not. I don't. Damn it. Thought I had created through AI 3 different quest markers for Ashes that are all booked theme. And I loved it. I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. One was like for a brand new quest that was like a closed book. And then if you're currently on the quest, it would be open and have like a phoenix, like a little phoenix coming from it. And then the closed one like it was flipped the other way, and it was a bright shining yellow. And I was like, oh wow, that's really, really cool. Because when you start the quest, it was a green book facing the opposite. It was closed the opposite side. But I just love how the design was. It was just really, really good. But the problem here is that, hey, look, I'm going to talk to this person. And the other problem is that in Ashes, you kind of don't know, okay, if I'm a new person and people tell me, well, this is a quest marker. Okay, then how can I help you here? Let me click here. Okay, what else do I have to do? Sure, I'll visit the mirror hall. Oh, okay, cool. That's it. Oh, he still has the marker here. I'm looking for work. Does it pay? Sure, I'll go to caravansary. Good, great. Okay. What can you tell me about this settlement? Oh, I'll show you the bulletin board. Okay. What else is going on here? Let me see. I checked the mirror hall. Great. Why is the quest marker still there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's frustrating. Like, these quest markers literally provide confusion for new players all the time. And mind you, there are certain NPCs that don't have this quest marker on them that actually have a quest to give you. Talk about frustrating, right? So there's actually a person that's been creating a website on quests that think of it as like, if you're an old school player like myself from like, maybe 2005 that played World of Warcraft, Thoughtbot, he's making a Thoughtbot for Ashes of Creation. Bless his heart. And, and again, I think it's needed because I'm sorry, the quest design in Ashes currently is so fragmented and broken and just completely unintuitive. It's just not worth, it's not worth the time. And, again, a lot of the questing experience that you get from it, the rewards are so abysmal, but in PTR, they finally increased quest experience. They finally increased rewards by giving you some more glint and also a piece of gear, which I think is really, really, really good. I didn't realize that was supposed to be a quest marker. Exactly. Exactly. Because this is if you're used to the whole exclamation point, question mark kind of thing, this is very foreign. Like, okay, why does this person have something above their head, but this person doesn't, right? It's foreign. Like, you just don't know, right? So I don't like things that are unintuitive. And I just think that the UI, when it comes to questing, needs to be upgraded a bit. There needs to be some more nuance to it. But the bigger problem too, and this is something I've even noticed in the PTR, back. Okay, am I back? Hello? Anyone hear me? Okay, I'm good. Okay. Whew, Jesus Christ. I was like, what happened? I looked at my internet box. Nothing was blinking. I'm like, everything should be good. Oh, Twitch being twitchy. Mr. Noobtastic, dude, thank you so much for the sub, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate your support, man. I always enjoy seeing you and hearing your takes in chat. But yeah, so there's literally a lot. And so here's the thing too, right? Is so we have settlements, right? And settlements, I think, are actually a really big game changer. And the one thing too is that settlements also have types to them. So the whole argument I was talking about with like leveling them and like the things that they can offer you, there's actually more to it than that, right? So each settlement has a specific type to it. So if you look here, it says Jova Village Scientific. So there are 4 types of settlements that Ashes of Creation has. There's scientific, religious, economic, and military. And depending on what node gets leveled, you will actually start earning special building types at you know, the type of node it is. And I believe, you know, if you level a military node, you'll start getting access to build an arena at your military node. You'll also get access to build a bounty hunters guild where you can literally search and destroy, you know, bandits, corrupted players, special PvP events. Like it's gonna be wild. And then there, of course, there's like economic settlements that'll give you special economic perks. So if you're very much into gathering and professions and, you know, really just that's your niche, that's what you love to do, then you might want to become a citizen of an economic node or an economic settlement and earn some of those special building privileges there. You'll probably maybe get reduced processing time. You might get extra, you know, procs on, you know, crafted materials. You know, there's gonna be a lot of little special things like that. Each type, if you were to get to a level 5 node, which is the top, which is basically city, it used to be metropolis, but now I think it's going to be called city. You'll actually get a superpower with them. So because Jova is a scientific node, as it currently stands, the superpower for Jova is a teleport, but you'll only be able to teleport to another scientific node. And I don't know how that's going to work. So currently right here, I believe this one's a marshal, which is military. So this one here. So I don't know if the mayor has to initiate this or how this initiation becomes a thing, but you'll be able to create a teleport from Jova to Marileth, and it'll be an instant thing to go back and forth. From what we've been told, that you won't be able to teleport with materials. So you can teleport over there, but if you have any kind of materials on your person, you won't be able to. So that kind of instant travel stuff. And each type will have a particular superpower to it. I actually forget what the military node superpower is. I don't even know if we actually got confirmation on what that is. But we've gotten to where they said that the religious superpower will be like a underground canal dungeon kind of thing. Like it's supposed to be a big sprawling underrealm dungeon kind of thing. But yeah, Tolnar win, bro. I would say probably a couple more years, to be honest with you. Or yeah, the Coliseum probably. I don't know how that's going to be different from the arena, but maybe it's just a more advanced, more elaborate version of the arena system. We'll see. But you see, need Tolnar got to make Bigfoot. Oh, Squash, dude. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm excited for Tolnar. I actually put up a photo. So this isn't legit, right? So don't, Intrepid, don't come after me, okay? This is where is it? Hold on. Oh my god. Sorry, that's me, not you. Preview. Not real. All right. There we go. Well, so the faces are AI. Or I'm sorry, the faces are not AI. Those are actually, if you see here, it's kind of cut. And this is kind of cut. But the bodies are of course AI generated. And this is what I kind of hope the freaking Tolnar bodies look like. I want them to look like, at least the males, I want them to look fucking masculine. Like I want them to look like legit threats and not these lizards that Blizzard made with the freaking Drekthar or whatever bullcrap they made. I want them to actually look like menacing, you know what I mean? Like, and again, like if you are a or if you like the Minotaurs in Ashes and how amazing they look, like again, I look at those previews and then I look at the Minotaurs in game. And if that is going to be any kind of a Tolnar body, like I think we're going to be in for some amazing shit when it comes to the Tolnar, man. Cause I don't know about you, but I really do want to see the Tolnar. I want to see what they're cooking up for the Tolnar. But yeah, so there is a lot of like frustrating parts in Ashes that'll definitely, it'll get smoothed out. But I think my biggest thing that I really want to stress to brand new players is please, please, please leave your feedback. I really don't give a shit if it's negative. If it's constructively negative, please leave it. If it's constructively positive, leave it. If it's constructively neutral, why was the game meh to you? You know what I mean? Like I will tell you from someone who's been here for a while, and Phantom even, you know, said it and very much alluded to it. This is a gaming company that actually listens. And, you know, do they listen instantaneously? No, but what company does? I think when it comes to getting the data and having our monthly live streams when we do, getting the perspective of Steven, Margaret, and also the devs that come on to talk about their particular niche, you know, in their development, it's very refreshing to hear, you know, when static rarity was actually supposed to be a thing in Ashes, but because of the overwhelming feedback from the players, that got removed. And I really do love that now we're going into this different philosophy of like gearing, of awarding gear through quests, which was something I really didn't think Ashes was going to do, to be honest with you. But I welcome it. You know, I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. And I know there's some people that doom and gloom its new philosophy, but I truly think that, you know, it's in the player's interest. And all I want is Intrepid to succeed, because there has been a lot of just down and out, you know, from these companies. And, you know, New World finally started to get its stride, finally, after 4 fucking years. And it was actually seen an upward in trajectory of new players just for them to say that they're shutting down. And then we get the whole news of, you know, the Lord of the Rings MMO, that's gone. Warhammer, gone. Like just all these particular things that are gone. And it's like, that's what I really don't understand. Like if you're a fan of the genre, why would you want the continued destruction to keep going? Like, again, if you don't like Ashes, I'm not here to try to convince you to like it, but to prey on its demise too. Like why? For basically players to truly have nothing else but the big ones. Like that's all we need to have, right? It's just World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, ESO, and Final Fantasy 14. That sucks. And honestly, that doesn't really create competition either. Like I feel like a lot of those, like I've been seeing videos on Guild Wars 2 and ESO of like those games feeling like stagnant. Like, yes, updates are coming out, things are happening, but it's like there's nothing like truly exciting happening in those games. Like, and maybe it's because I'm more of a WoW person. Maybe I don't know the inner workings of those particular MMOs, but even Final Fantasy 14 has been in a huge slump with Dawnbreaker. Yoshi P has come out and says, oh, we're changing our philosophy. We're going to be doing some new stuff for our new expansion, which is why it's probably been delayed, because they, you know, they got some pretty critical reception on Dawnbreaker. And then of course, World of Warcraft with Midnight, you know, there's a lot of people excited for Midnight. As someone who's been wanting player housing in WoW for a long time, I just feel like for myself, like that kind of ship sailed for me. Like it just is what it is. I just don't know. Well, what other content is there? Right? Like, oh, okay, we got player housing. Cool. But what if I'm not a fan of that? Like what else do you have, you know? Joel, dude, thank you so much for the sub, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you're enjoying the stream, by the way. Um, you know, so, you know, that's why I think a lot of MMO YouTubers get a lot of clicks on their videos, because people want to play like a new MMO. I think people are really sick and tired of just, oh, there's just, you know, OSRS, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14. And if you tried all of them out already, right? If you already put your time in on all those MMOs, like, it's like kind of just bummer, you know? Like, it's just, it sucks. Oh, I really think Intrepid should look at packaging the DG system so we get more MMOs. What is the DG system? Am I just like blanking on that acronym? DG. I don't know what you're referencing. Oh, dynamic gridding. I'm sorry, I was trying to think of a game system in Ashes that had like D and G in it. Yeah, dynamic gridding is going to be a huge game changer if they can truly get that that architecture to work in the way that it was pitched. Bro, that's going to be huge for this game. Huge. And all we need then, once that gets smoothed out, is just the optimization of the game, right? Like, because right now I feel like optimization needs to happen. Like, it really does. Like, I know optimization is usually left later in development, but I think even just a first pass optimization would be amazing, because the RAM consumption, the PC consumption, the graphics card consumption that this game does is insane. And that's the other thing I really want to tell new players too. If you have a good rig, you'll be fine in Ashes. But if you have kind of a potato, like if you don't have like a good PC, Ashes is going to be kind of hard for you to play. Like, I'm just going to be totally honest with you. Like, I had to literally buy a brand new computer, and maybe it's because I stream Ashes and play Ashes, but playing Ashes of Creation on its own is very much a heavy demand on your PC. And so if you're wanting to buy Ashes on the 11th, like, I'm just going to tell you that right up front. You know, if you don't have a good rig, you may be, you know, a little shocked with, you know, oh, wow, like I got to upgrade my rig. Gotta, because again, this is not just upgrading your graphics card here. Like, this game is very much the trifecta. You need a good processor, you need a good RAM, and you need a good graphics card. Because I can tell you, if one of them lack or two of them lack, you're not going to have a good time in Ashes. And if you are running 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, that's all I'll say. Because you definitely need a minimum 32 gigs to run Ashes. 100%. I think in this day and age, 32 gig RAMs is kind of like mandatory in my opinion. But I mean, there's a lot of people who do run 16 gigs. Sorry, I got a message and I just lost it on Discord. Who messaged me? Okay, sorry. Not important. Anyway, I used 128 and still have to play on medium settings. Well, that's what I mean, right? So like, again, you could have an aspect of that trifecta, like one of aspect to be really, really good. But if your processor isn't good, or if your processor is mid and your graphic card is mid, it doesn't really matter how much gigs of RAM you have. Like, you need all three to run Ashes pretty well. Yeah, memory leaks like a mofo. Yes, 100%. I mean, and this is what I'm talking about with like optimization. Like, I think if they were just to really concentrate on like an optimization patch, whether it's like 0.19, because I know 0.18, which is the newest patch we're going to get on the 11th, I really hope like maybe 0.19 or even 0.20 eventually could be like to have some really good optimizational like improvements, because dude, this has been a thing since phase 1 in my opinion. Like, Ashes has always been a really just a guzzle on your PC load in general. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to kind of get off. I said myself I was going to stream for about 2 hours because I got family here. I just wanted to stream for a little bit to kind of say hi. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And I am actually making a video. This is kind of like a little precursor to the video, but I am making a video of really major features in Ashes of Creation that I think new players would be excited for. Some that still need work, of course, but just to give you the pitch of like where it currently sits in game, but what the hopeful evolution of those systems and features will transform into. So that way you have just a better, like, oh, these systems suck, or this thing isn't good, or da, da, da. And it's like, well, yeah, of course now, but this is how the feature is supposed to evolve. This is the kind of course it should take. And these are hopefully the things that they should do based off player feedback or the things that players want to give new players a better perspective on the project. So guys, again, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoy watching me on Twitch, please, hit the follow button. I go live. I'm hopefully going to go live every day. Sometime soon. Like I said, I'm going to ask my community and ask to see if they wouldn't mind asking my feedback on that. And I also stream on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch me on YouTube instead of Twitch, I stream on both. So thank you guys so much. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the follow button, whatever button you want to hit. Thank you. Very much appreciated. And I will see you guys on the next one.